Jake Morrison stood in the massive hall and looked around at thousands of alien beings. The Galactic Council chamber was the biggest room he had ever seen. It could hold 50,000 beings from different worlds. Today, it was full. Every seat was taken. Every species in the galaxy had sent someone here. They all came to vote on one thing: what to do with humans. Jake had been Earth's main speaker at the council for 12 years. He had solved fights between different alien groups. He had helped make peace when wars started. He had worked hard to keep everyone happy, but today felt wrong. Very wrong. The tall crystal being named Zixthal stood at the front. It was the council speaker. Its body was made of bright blue crystal that could change colors when it talked. Right now, it glowed red. That meant it was serious. We vote today on Resolution 4471, Zixthal said in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. This resolution will stop humans from taking over more star systems. They can only keep the 12 systems they have now. No more human worlds. No more human bases. No more human growth. Jake felt sick in his stomach. Lisa Grant sat next to him. She was his helper and had worked with aliens for 20 years. Her face was white with shock. On his other side sat Ryan Torres. He was a military man who had fought in many space battles to protect alien worlds. His hands were tight fists. The Krell Empire supports this resolution, said the Krell speaker. It was a big bug-like creature with 6 arms. Humans are too dangerous. They take control of everything they touch. They think they know better than everyone else. Many alien voices made sounds of agreement. Some clicked, some buzzed, some made whale sounds. The noise filled the giant hall. Jake stood up. May I speak before the vote? Zixthal's crystal body turned yellow. You have 5 minutes, human. Jake walked to the center of the hall. All eyes, all light sensors, all hearing devices turned to him. 300 years ago, my people joined this council. We were new to space travel. We were excited to meet other species. We wanted to learn and help. He stopped and looked around. In these 300 years, humans have stopped 400 wars. We have saved 60 species from deadly diseases. We have shared our technology freely. We have built trade routes that help everyone get rich. We have never asked for payment. We have never demanded special treatment. Some aliens shifted in their seats. A few made uncomfortable sounds. When the Zephyrian worlds were dying from the Red Plague, human doctors worked for 5 years to find a cure. 43 human scientists died from that disease. When the Molten Collective and the Ice Republic were about to destroy each other, human negotiators worked for 2 years to make peace. When the great trade routes were failing, humans spent billions of credits to fix them. Jake's voice got louder. Every time there was trouble, you called humans. Every time there was a problem too hard to solve, you asked us to help. Every time species fought each other, you wanted human peacekeepers to stop the fighting. That is exactly the problem, shouted the Silicon Dominion representative. It was a robot-like being made of metal and circuits. You humans always think you must fix everything. You act like parents and we are children. We do not need human help anymore. Many aliens made agreeing sounds. Jake felt his heart break a little. The vote will begin now, Zixthal announced. The crystal being's body turned purple. That meant the vote was starting. Jake watched the big holographic display above the hall. Numbers appeared as each species voted. Yes meant humans would be restricted to their 12 worlds. No meant humans could continue to grow and help. The numbers grew quickly. 100 yes votes, 200, 500. The no votes were very few, only 20, then 30. Lisa put her hand on Jake's arm. Maybe we should have seen this coming, she whispered. Ryan Torres looked angry. After everything we've done for them, he said quietly. The final numbers appeared on the display. 847 species voted yes. 23 voted no. 12 did not vote at all. The hall erupted in alien celebrations. The sounds were terrible to human ears. Zixthal's body turned bright green. That meant victory. Resolution 4471 passes. Humans are restricted to their current territories. No expansion beyond the 12 systems they now control. Jake felt numb. He looked at Lisa and Ryan. They looked back at him with sad eyes. Around them, aliens were happy. They clicked and buzzed and made celebration sounds. Some even laughed in their alien ways. Jake gathered his papers slowly. He picked up the human delegation files. 300 years of helping the galaxy. 300 years of friendship and cooperation. It was all ending today. He stood up and walked to the center of the hall again. The alien celebration sounds got quieter. Everyone wanted to hear what he would say. "You have made your choice," Jake said. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the sadness in it. "The galaxy has decided it does not want human help anymore. The galaxy believes it will be better without human interference." He looked around at all the alien faces. Some looked happy. Some looked worried now. A few looked sad. "Very well. If that is what you truly want, then you shall have it. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all galactic institutions. We quit the Council. We cancel all treaties. We end all agreements. We are going home." The hall became completely silent. No alien made any sound. Even the air recycling system seemed to stop. Jake walked toward the exit. Lisa and Ryan followed him. The other human delegates and staff members joined them. 43 humans walking out of the Galactic Council forever. "Wait," called out a voice. It was the representative from the Aquatic Federation. "Surely you do not mean permanently." Jake stopped at the door. He turned around one last time. "You wanted a galaxy without human interference. Congratulations. You got exactly what you asked for." The humans left the hall. Behind them, the alien celebration sound started again, but they sounded different now. Less happy, more worried. Some aliens were starting to understand what they had just done. As Jake walked down the long hallway toward the human ship, he felt sad but also angry. 300 years of friendship, 300 years of helping, and this was how it ended. "Sir," Ryan Torres said, "what happens now?" Jake stopped walking. "Now we go home. We recall every human from every alien world. We end every peacekeeping mission. We stop all medical aid. We cancel all trade agreements. We shut down all the systems we built for them." "All of them?" Lisa asked. "All of them," Jake said firmly. They wanted to be free of human influence. Let them be completely free. The human ship lifted off from the Council world 20 minutes later. It was the last human ship that would ever land there. As they flew away, Jake looked down at the planet below. Soon, it would be just another alien world, no longer humanity's concern. Kiwamd. Galaxy had made its choice. Now it would live with the consequences. 3 months had passed since the vote. The galaxy was already starting to feel different. Problems that humans used to solve quickly were now getting bigger and bigger. The first major trouble started in the Rigel sector. 2 alien species had been fighting over asteroid mines for many years. The Zephyrian Trade Union wanted the rare metals. The Molten Collective said the asteroids belonged to them. For 50 years, human negotiator Helen Brooks had kept them from really fighting. She would meet with both sides every few months. She would make agreements. She would find ways for both species to share the mines. But Helen was gone now. All humans were gone. The 2 alien groups began moving warships toward the asteroid field. Neither side wanted to give up the valuable metals. Captain Vex of the Zephyrian fleet sent angry messages to the molten ships. "These mines are ours. Leave now or we will force you to leave." Commander Thrak of the Molten Collective replied just as angrily, "Our ancestors found these rocks first. We will defend them." Both fleets prepared their weapons. There was no human mediator to stop them. On Earth, President Amanda Cole sat in her office reading reports from across human space. The news was not good, but it was expected. Every human diplomat, every human peacekeeper, every human aid worker was coming home. Admiral Kevin Sullivan knocked on her door and entered. He carried a tablet full of information about the recall operations. "Madam President," he said with a tired voice, We have successfully brought home all our people from the outer sectors. The evacuation is complete. How many conflicts have started since we left? Amanda asked. Kevin looked at his tablet. 17 small wars, 4 major trade disputes, 6 territorial fights, and that's just in the last week. Amanda felt sad but not surprised. What about our medical teams? All recalled. Dr. Patricia Adams wanted me to tell you something important. The alien worlds are asking for our medical nanobots. They say people are dying without them. Amanda frowned. Our nanobots? Yes, ma'am. Apparently 46 species depend completely on human medical technology to treat their diseases. Without our nanobots and medicines, they can't help their sick people. Dr. Patricia Adams was Earth's former chief science officer for alien relations. She had spent 30 years developing medicines that worked on different alien biologies. Her nanobots could cure diseases in species that were completely different from humans. Silicon-based aliens, energy-based beings, liquid creatures. Her nanobots worked on all of them. But Patricia was on Earth now, in her laboratory, watching the emergency requests pour in from across the galaxy. Her communication screen showed dozens of desperate messages. Please send medical aid to the crystalline worlds. The Blue Death disease has returned and we cannot stop it without human nanobots. The Aquatic Federation begs for human doctors. Our young are dying from the same plague that human medicine cured 10 years ago. The robotic citizens of the Silicon Dominion request human technical medical support. Our repair nanobots have failed without human programming updates. Patricia read each message with a heavy heart. She had spent her whole career trying to help these species. She had worked 18-hour days to develop new treatments. She had saved billions of alien lives. But the orders from the government were clear. No aid, no assistance, no communication. Patricia turned off her communication screen and tried to focus on other work. But she kept thinking about all the aliens who were suffering. Meanwhile, in the transport lanes of space, everything was falling apart. The Tau Ceti commercial route was the busiest trade highway in the galaxy. Millions of ships used it every day to carry goods between different worlds. But the traffic control system was built by humans. The navigation computers were programmed by humans. The safety protocols were designed by humans. Without human technicians to maintain and update these systems, problems began immediately. Captain Nicole Harper was flying her cargo ship through the route when her warning system started screaming. Her ship's computer was receiving conflicting signals from the traffic control stations. This is New Horizon requesting clear navigation data, she called over the radio. New Horizon, this is Traffic Control Station 7. You are cleared for Vector 447. Negative New Horizon, came another. This is Traffic Control Station 9. Vector 447 is occupied. Change to Vector 321. Both vectors are showing occupied on my scanner, Nicole replied, feeling worried. The traffic control stations were arguing with each other. Their computers were giving different information. Ships were getting lost. Some were crashing into each other. Nicole watched her scanner as 2 huge freight ships collided just 3 kilometers away. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. Hundreds of aliens died in an instant. This was happening all over the galaxy. The human-designed systems were breaking down without human maintenance. Back on Earth, in the capital city, emergency meetings were happening every day. Government officials were trying to understand how much the galaxy depended on human systems. Director of Colonial Affairs, Bobby Chen, presented his findings to the President and her cabinet. Madam President, the situation is worse than we expected. We didn't just help aliens solve problems, our technology is built into the foundation of galactic civilization. Explain, Amanda said. Bobby activated a holographic display. Life support. Systems on 400 alien worlds use human atmospheric processors. Communication networks connecting 57 species use human quantum relay stations. The interstellar banking system that handles all galactic trade runs on human-designed computers. Are you saying the galaxy can't function without us? Asked Secretary of Defense Carol Wright. That's exactly what I'm saying, Bobby replied. For 300 years we've been building the infrastructure that keeps galactic civilization running. We did it to help. We didn't ask for payment or control. But now that we're gone, Everything is starting to break. Amanda looked at the data on the holographic display. It was overwhelming. Humans had built or helped build almost every major system in the galaxy. What about the alien refugees? She asked. Bobby's expression became even more serious. That's the biggest problem. 37 alien species are completely dependent on human-built life support systems. Without our maintenance crews, their worlds are becoming uninhabitable. They're fleeing to other worlds, but those worlds can't support them. How many refugees are we talking about? Current estimates suggest over 2 billion aliens will need to find new homes within the next year. But there aren't enough habitable worlds that can support that many refugees. Admiral Sullivan spoke up. Ma'am, we're getting requests for humanitarian aid every hour. Alien ships are approaching our borders begging for help. What are we telling them? Amanda asked. The same thing we tell everyone. Humanity has withdrawn from galactic affairs. We cannot provide assistance. Amanda felt the weight of the decision. 2 billion alien lives were at stake. These were beings whose governments had voted to restrict human growth and influence. But they were also individuals who had never voted against humans. Many of them had been friends with humans. But the decision had been made. Humanity would not interfere in galactic affairs anymore. Continue the withdrawal, Amanda ordered. Bring home every human. Close every embassy. End every aid program. The galaxy made its choice. 3 months after the vote, the galaxy was learning what it meant to live without human help. Wars were starting. Technology was failing. People were dying. But on Earth and the 11 other human worlds, life was getting better. Human scientists who had been working on alien problems were now focusing on human advancement. Human resources that had been sent to alien worlds were now being used to improve human colonies. Dr. Adams was working on new medicines for humans. Admiral Sullivan was designing better defenses for human worlds. Bobby Chen was planning new human settlements in unexplored space. The galaxy had wanted to be free of human influence. It was getting exactly what it asked for, and humanity was discovering that helping others had cost them more than they realized. Now they could focus on themselves for the first time in 3 centuries. The immediate aftermath of the vote was just the beginning. Things were going to get much worse before they got better. But that was no longer humanity's problem. 1 year had passed since humans left the Galactic Council. The galaxy looked completely different now. What started as small problems had grown into disasters that were spreading everywhere. The war between the Zephyrian Trade Union and the Molten Collective had gotten much bigger. What began as a fight over asteroid mines was now a full-scale conflict involving 7 different species. The Tau Ceti commercial route, once the safest and busiest trade highway in the galaxy, had become a battlefield. Captain Nicole Harper watched from a safe distance as warships from multiple alien fleets shot at each other around the central trade station. Her cargo ship New Horizon carried medical supplies that 3 different worlds desperately needed, but she couldn't get through the war zone to deliver them. This is insane, she told her first officer, Lieutenant Danny Walsh. A year ago, this route was so safe you could fly it with your eyes closed. Human peacekeepers made sure everyone followed the rules. What are they even fighting about now? Danny asked, watching the explosions on their scanner. Everything. Trade rights, navigation, lanes, station control, mining claims. Without human mediators, every little disagreement becomes a war. Nicole had been a merchant captain for 20 years. She had seen the galaxy when it was peaceful and prosperous. She remembered when human patrol ships would escort merchant vessels through dangerous areas. She remembered when human diplomats could stop a war with a few meetings. Those days were gone forever. The fighting had spread beyond the trade routes. Entire sectors of space were now war zones. The Rigel sector conflict had pulled in the Aquatic Federation, the Silicon Dominion, and dozens of smaller species. What started as 2 groups fighting over mines had become the largest war in galactic history. But the wars were not the worst problem. The worst problem was the plague. On the world of Kepler 442b in the Outer Rim territories, a deadly disease had started spreading 6 months ago. The local aliens called it the Gray Death because it turned their blue skin gray before they died. It spread through the air, through touch, through water. Nothing the local doctors tried could stop it. When similar diseases had appeared in the past, human medical teams would arrive within days. Dr. Emma Rodriguez had led response teams to dozens of plague outbreaks. Her human medical nanobots could analyze new diseases quickly and create treatments. She had saved entire species from extinction. But Dr. Rodriguez was on Earth now, working in a human research facility. She still received reports about the Grey Death from her alien contacts. The reports were getting worse every day. The death count on Kepler 442b has reached 2 million, her research assistant, Dr. Gary Foster, told her. The disease has now spread to 4 other worlds in that system. Emma looked at the data on her screen. The disease was following a pattern she had seen before. It was spreading exactly like the Red Plague that had killed millions of Zephyrians 30 years ago. She had stopped that plague with a modified nanobotic treatment. I could stop this in 3 weeks, she said quietly. The Grey Death is almost identical to the Red Plague. We already have the cure. But we can't send it to them, Gary replied sadly. Government orders are clear. No aid to alien worlds. Emma closed her eyes and tried not to think about the billions of aliens who would die from a disease she could easily cure. The alien governments had voted to restrict human influence. This was the result of that vote. The plague continued spreading. It jumped from the original system to neighboring worlds. Alien medical teams tried everything they could think of. They asked other alien species for help, but no other species had medical technology advanced enough to stop the disease. Within 6 months, the Grey Death had killed over 50 million aliens across 12 worlds. It was still spreading. Meanwhile, the technological infrastructure of the galaxy was collapsing. Engineer Bobby Chen worked in the Luna orbital shipyards, processing requests for help that came from across the galaxy every day. Sir? His assistant, Engineer Lisa Park, told him, "We're receiving distress signals from the Vega Prime Life Support Network. Their atmospheric processors are failing." Bobby looked at the technical readout. Vega Prime was home to 4 billion Silicon Dominion aliens. They were robot-like beings who needed a specific mixture of gases to survive. The atmospheric processors that maintained their air supply were built by humans 50 years ago. The maintenance cycle is overdue by 8 months, Bobby said, reading the data. Without regular updates and repairs, the processors will completely fail within weeks. Can we send a repair team? Lisa asked. Bobby shook his head. You know, we can't. No human assistance to alien worlds. The same problems were happening everywhere. On the ocean world of Aquatica 7, the underwater cities were losing power because their human-built geothermal generators needed maintenance. On the desert world of Sandros, the water recycling systems were breaking down. On the frozen world of Ice Station Alpha, the heating networks were failing. All of these systems had been built by humans as gifts to alien species. Humans had maintained them for decades without asking for payment. But now the maintenance crews were gone, and the aliens didn't know how to fix the complex technology. The economic collapse was just as bad as the technological failures. The galactic banking system had been created by humans 200 years ago. It allowed different alien species to trade with each other safely and easily. Human computers processed trillions of transactions every day. But the human technicians who maintained those computers were gone. The banking network began making errors. Transactions were lost. Money disappeared. Trade agreements were automatically canceled by computer glitches. Financial chaos spread across the galaxy. Species that had traded peacefully for centuries stopped trusting each other. Some thought others were stealing their money through computer manipulation. Others believed the banking failures were deliberate attacks. The Crystalline Consortium accused the Molten Collective of hacking the banking system to steal their profits. The Aquatic Federation claimed the Silicon Dominion was manipulating trade data. Every species suspected every other species of financial crimes. Trade between alien worlds slowed to almost nothing. Planets that depended on imported food began to starve. Worlds that needed imported materials for manufacturing shut down their factories. The galactic economy that had grown strong over 3 centuries collapsed in just 1 year. Dr. Patricia Adams watched the collapse from her laboratory on Earth. Reports came in every day about new disasters, new wars, new plagues, new technological failures. Every problem was something that humans could have prevented or solved quickly. The Helix Nebula Mining Consortium has lost contact with 47 mining stations. Her research partner, Dr. Ben Cooper, told her. Their communication network has failed. Let me guess, Patricia said tiredly. Human-built quantum communication relays that need regular maintenance. Exactly. Without the relay stations, the mining operations can't coordinate their work. Ships are getting lost. Some mining teams have been stranded for months. Patricia had helped design those communication relays. They were marvels of human engineering that allowed instant communication across vast distances. But they needed to be recalibrated every few months to account for stellar drift and quantum interference. The alien mining crews didn't understand the technology well enough to maintain it themselves. They had always relied on human technicians to keep the system working. How many people are stranded in the Helix Nebula? Patricia asked. Current estimates suggest around 200,000 miners from various species. They're running out of food and air. Patricia felt sick. 200,000 beings would die because of maintenance that would take a human technical team 3 days to complete. But the orders were clear. No human assistance. The cascade of failures continued to spread. Each breakdown caused other breakdowns. Wars disrupted trade routes which caused supply shortages which led to more conflicts. Technological failures left worlds defenseless, which encouraged attacks from aggressive neighbors. Economic collapse made it impossible to buy replacement parts for failing systems. What had once been a peaceful, prosperous galactic civilization was turning into a collection of isolated, suspicious, struggling worlds. Species that had been allies for centuries were now enemies. Advanced worlds were reverting to primitive conditions as their technology failed. And in the middle of all this chaos, alien refugees were streaming toward the borders of human space. Billions of beings whose worlds had become uninhabitable were looking for new homes. They begged for permission to settle in human territory. But humanity's answer was always the same. The borders were closed. The galaxy had chosen to be free of human influence. The galaxy would have to solve its own problems. Captain Nicole Harper finally gave up trying to deliver her medical supplies. The war zone around the Tau Ceti route was too dangerous. She turned her ship around and headed back to human space. She flew away from the conflict. She looked back at the exploding ships and burning stations. A year ago, this had been the most prosperous region in the galaxy. Now it was a wasteland. The galaxy had gotten exactly what it voted for. Freedom from human interference. But freedom, it turned out, came with a very high price. 2 years had passed since the vote that changed everything. The galaxy was dying, and everyone knew it. The proud alien civilizations that had voted to restrict human influence were now desperate for the very help they had rejected. The first official plea for help came from an unexpected source. Zixthal, the former speaker of the Galactic Council, arrived at the edge of human space in a small diplomatic shuttle. The once mighty crystalline being that had announced the fateful vote now looked broken and dim. Admiral Kevin Sullivan met the alien delegate at Starbase Armstrong, humanity's outermost border station. The base was commanded by Colonel Nancy White, a veteran officer who had spent 20 years protecting alien worlds before the withdrawal. Sullivan and Nancy watched through the station's main viewport as the alien shuttle approached. It was a pathetic sight. The ship was damaged and barely functioning. Its hull showed signs of weapon impacts and radiation burns. "Sir," Nancy said, "this is the first official alien contact we've had since the withdrawal. What are our orders?" "Listen to what they have to say," Sullivan replied. "But you know what the answer will be." The shuttle docked with Starbase Armstrong. Zixthal emerged from the airlock, supported by 2 other crystalline beings. The former council speaker's crystal body was cracked and faded. Where once it had glowed with bright colors, now it barely managed a weak yellow light. "Admiral Sullivan," Zixthal transmitted through its translator device, "thank you for agreeing to see me." "What do you want?" Sullivan asked directly. He had no patience for diplomatic pleasantries. "I come seeking assistance for the galaxy," Zixthal replied. The situation has become desperate beyond all imagination. Nancy brought up a holographic display showing the current state of galactic civilization. The image was shocking. Red zones marked active war regions. Gray zones showed worlds that had gone dark and stopped communicating. Yellow zones indicated areas with critical infrastructure failures. Over 60% of the galaxy was marked in red or gray. The Rigel sector war has expanded to involve 43 species, Zixthal continued. The Grey Death Plague has now killed over 800 million beings across 74 worlds. 300 major trade routes have been abandoned due to piracy and warfare. 200 worlds have lost primary life support systems. Sullivan studied the data without emotion. These problems existed before humans withdrew. You chose to handle them without our interference. But surely you understand. Zixthal's crystal body flickered desperately. We did not anticipate the scale of the crisis. We thought other species could replace human services. We were wrong. Captain Danny Foster had just returned from a border patrol mission when he joined the meeting. He had witnessed the refugee crisis firsthand. Millions of alien ships were gathering at the borders of human space, begging for sanctuary. My patrol ship counted over 12,000 refugee vessels in the neutral zone, Danny reported. They're carrying approximately 50 million displaced aliens. Most are running out of food and fuel. Zixthal's body flashed with bright desperation. Those refugees are from worlds that depended on human atmospheric processors. Without maintenance, their planets are no longer habitable. They have nowhere else to go. They should have thought about that before voting to restrict us, Danny replied coldly. Nancy pulled up another display showing the human response to the crisis. Our standing orders are clear. No aliens are permitted in human space. No aid will be provided to alien worlds. No human personnel will be deployed to assist with alien problems. But people are dying, Zixthal pleaded. Entire species face extinction. Yes, they are, Sullivan acknowledged. And that's very sad. But the Galactic Council made its decision. You voted to limit human influence because you thought we were too controlling. You said the galaxy would be better off without us. Dr. Linda Taylor, who had been quietly observing the meeting, stepped forward. She was the director of Human Xenological Affairs and had worked with alien species for 30 years. She knew many of the dying civilizations personally. Zixthal, Linda said gently, I worked with your people for decades. I helped design the crystal resonance chambers that allow your species to communicate across interstellar distances. I trained your technicians to maintain the quantum harmony networks in your home system. Zixthal's body glowed with recognition and hope. Yes, Dr. Taylor, you were always a true friend to our species. Then you'll understand why your current request is so painful for me, Linda continued. My government has asked me to compile a list of human contributions to galactic civilization. The list is now over 4,000 pages long. 4,000 pages of technology, medicine, peacekeeping, and aid that humans provided freely to alien worlds. She activated a holographic display showing streams of data. Human peacekeeping forces prevented or ended 1,047 wars. Human medical teams saved the lives of over 40 billion aliens from various diseases and plagues. Human engineers built or maintained critical infrastructure on 890 worlds. Human diplomats negotiated 3,476 trade agreements and territorial accords. The numbers were staggering. Even Zixthal seemed shocked by the scope of human involvement in galactic affairs. For 300 years, Linda continued, humans have been the invisible foundation holding galactic civilization together. We never asked for recognition or payment. We just helped because we believed it was the right thing to do. And we are grateful, Zixthal transmitted desperately. More grateful than you can imagine. That is why I have come to beg for your return to galactic affairs. Sullivan shook his head. The decision is final. Humanity has withdrawn from galactic politics permanently. But what if we offered concessions, Zixthal asked. What if we granted humans unlimited expansion rights? What if we made humans permanent members of the council leadership? What if we paid compensation for past services? It's too late for that, Nancy replied firmly. The trust has been broken. Captain Foster spoke up again. My brother, Lieutenant Gary Foster, died establishing peace on Vega Prime 5 years ago. He was killed by molten collective extremists who thought humans were trying to control their world. Now those same extremists are begging for human help because their planet is dying from system failures. My sister, Captain Beth Foster, lost her leg in the Andromeda medical crisis. Danny continued. She spent 3 years in alien hospitals developing treatments for the crystal rot disease. The Silicon Dominion officials complained that humans were interfering with their natural evolution. Now half their population is dead from crystal rot because they don't have human medical nanobots. The pain in Danny's voice was clear. He had lost family members helping aliens who didn't want to be helped. We gave everything for the galaxy, Sullivan said quietly. Human lives, human resources, human expertise. We made galactic civilization possible, and the thanks we received was a vote to restrict our growth and limit our influence. Zixthal's crystal body dimmed to almost nothing. What must we do to earn your help again? Linda Taylor looked at the pathetic figure of the former council speaker. Once Zixthal had been one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Now it was just another refugee begging for human assistance. There is nothing you can do, Linda said sadly. The damage has been done. The galaxy chose isolation over cooperation. It chose suspicion over trust. Those choices have consequences. But surely some compromise is possible, Zixthal tried again. Perhaps limited assistance? Medical aid for the plague worlds? Technical support for failing life support systems? Peacekeepers for the worst conflicts? No, Sullivan said firmly. Any assistance would be seen as human interference. The galaxy was very clear that it didn't want human interference. We're giving you exactly what you asked for. Zixthal made a sound like breaking crystal. It was the sound of despair in the crystalline language. The irony is, Nancy observed, humanity is doing better than ever. Our scientists are making breakthrough discoveries because they're not scattered across the galaxy fixing alien problems. Our resources are being used to improve human worlds instead of maintaining alien infrastructure. Our people are safer because they're not dying in alien conflicts. This was true. Human civilization was experiencing a golden age. Dr. Patricia Adams had developed revolutionary new medical treatments. Human colonies were expanding into previously unexplored regions of space. Human technology was advancing rapidly without the burden of maintaining alien systems. We learned something important from your vote, Linda explained to Zixthal. We learned that helping others had made us weak. We had neglected our own development to focus on yours. Now we're focusing on ourselves for the first time in 3 centuries. The meeting continued for several hours, but the outcome never changed. Zixthal presented increasingly desperate offers and pleas. The humans listened politely and refused every request. When the crystalline being finally returned to its shuttle, it looked completely defeated. Its crystal body had dimmed to almost nothing. As the alien ship departed Starbase Armstrong, Nancy watched it disappear into space. That was hard to watch, she said. Yes, it was, Sullivan agreed. But necessary. The galaxy needs to learn that actions have consequences. Within days of Zixthal's failed mission, other alien delegations began, arriving at human space borders. 5 years had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. The galaxy that once spanned millions of worlds and connected thousands of species was now a broken collection of isolated, struggling settlements. What had been the greatest civilization in known history was now a cautionary tale about pride and ingratitude. President Amanda Cole stood before the Human Colonial Assembly to give her annual address. She had been re-elected twice since the withdrawal, each time by overwhelming margins. The human population strongly supported the decision to focus on their own civilization, rather than constantly helping ungrateful aliens. 5 years ago, Amanda began, the galaxy told us they no longer needed our help. They said we were too controlling, too involved in their affairs. They voted to restrict our growth and limit our influence. Today, I want to share with you what the galaxy looks like. Now, she activated a massive holographic display that showed the current state of galactic civilization. The image was shocking. even to humans who had been following the collapse. Of the original 47 major galactic powers that existed 5 years ago, only 12 still function as organized governments. The rest have either collapsed entirely or fractured into small warring factions. Red zones covered most of the display, indicating regions in active conflict. Gray zones showed areas that had gone completely dark, with no communication or signs of organized life. Only small patches of yellow and green remained to show functioning civilizations. The great trade routes that connected the galaxy for centuries no longer exist. The Tau Ceti commercial route, once the busiest highway in known space, is now a graveyard of destroyed ships. The Rigel sector, formerly home to 12 billion beings, is now an empty wasteland. The assembled human delegates looked at the display with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. Many had lost friends and colleagues in the galactic collapse, but they also felt vindicated. The aliens had brought this disaster upon themselves. Admiral Ryan Torres, now serving as Secretary of Defense, presented the military situation. The galaxy-wide conflicts have resulted in an estimated death toll of over 60 billion sentient beings. That's more deaths than occurred in all previous galactic wars combined. The number was staggering. 60 billion lives lost because the galaxy could no longer solve conflicts peacefully. The irony, Ryan continued, is that most of these wars started over resources and territory that the combatants can no longer use. The Molten Collective and the Zephyrian Trade Union destroyed the very asteroid mines they were fighting over. The Silicon Dominion and the Aquatic Federation have made their border worlds uninhabitable through chemical and biological warfare. Dr. Patricia Adams, now the Director of Human Medical Research, reported on the plague situation. The grade death that started on Kepler 442b has now spread to over 300 worlds. Conservative estimates suggest it has killed more than 200 billion aliens across multiple species. She paused, letting the magnitude of the number sink in. This plague could have been stopped in 3 weeks if we had been allowed to help. The treatment protocol was already developed from our work on similar diseases. Instead, it has become the deadliest pandemic in galactic history. Dr. Emma Rodriguez, Patricia's deputy, added more disturbing information. We're also tracking 17 other major disease outbreaks across alien space. All of them are diseases that human medicine could treat easily. The total death toll from preventable illnesses now exceeds 500 billion beings. The human delegates sat in stunned silence. 500 billion deaths from diseases that humans knew how to cure. But the aliens chose to handle these problems without our interference, Amanda reminded everyone. We're simply respecting their decision. Engineer Bobby Chen reported on the technological collapse. The infrastructure failures continue to cascade throughout former galactic space. The quantum communication network that connected most civilizations has degraded to less than 5% functionality. Most alien worlds can no longer communicate with their own colonies. Life support failures have made 847 worlds uninhabitable. These were worlds that depended on human-built atmospheric processors, water recycling systems, and power generation networks. Without maintenance, these systems have failed completely. The scale of technological breakdown was unprecedented. Entire civilizations had reverted to pre-spaceflight conditions as their advanced technology failed. Colonel Nancy White, now commanding the Human Border Defense Force, reported on the refugee situation. We currently have over 2 billion alien refugees gathered at our space borders. They arrive daily in ships that are barely functional. Most are starving and desperate. What are we doing with them? Asked Delegate Carol Martinez from the Luna colony. The same thing we've been doing for 5 years, Nancy replied. We turn them away. Our borders remain closed to all alien immigration. This was perhaps the most controversial aspect of humanity's withdrawal. Images of desperate alien refugees being turned away from human space had spread throughout the galaxy. Some humans felt guilty about refusing aid to beings who were clearly suffering, but the government's position remained firm. The galaxy had chosen to be independent of human influence. That independence had to be complete. What about the offers of surrender? Asked Delegate Frank Wilson from the Mars colonies. Amanda referred to her notes. In the past year, We've received formal surrender offers from the remnants of 18 alien governments. They're offering to become human protectorates in exchange for aid and protection. And our response? We decline all such offers. We're not interested in ruling alien populations. We tried partnership and cooperation for 3 centuries. The aliens made it clear they preferred independence. Dr. Linda Taylor, the Director of Human Xenological Affairs, provided a different perspective on the crisis. From an anthropological standpoint, what we're witnessing is the collapse of a civilization that had become dependent on external support. When that support was withdrawn, they lacked the internal structures necessary to maintain their society. Are you saying they were dependent on us? Asked Delegate Gary Thompson. Completely dependent, Linda confirmed. The galactic civilization that existed before the withdrawal was essentially a human creation. We provided the technology, the peacekeeping, the medical care, the diplomatic solutions, and the economic systems that held it all together. But they saw this as interference rather than assistance. Exactly. They wanted the benefits of our help without acknowledging that they needed it. When we withdrew, they discovered how much they had relied on us. The discussion turned to humanity's own progress during the 5 years of isolation. The results were remarkable. Dr. Adams reported breakthrough advances in human medicine. Without the need to develop treatments for hundreds of different alien biologies, our researchers have made incredible progress in human health science. We've extended human lifespan by an average of 30 years. We've eliminated most genetic diseases. We've developed nanobotic enhancements that make humans stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Admiral Torres described military advances. The resources we once used to maintain peacekeeping forces across the galaxy are now focused on defending human space and exploring new regions. We've developed ships that are faster and more powerful than anything in our previous fleet. Engineer Chen outlined technological progress. Human engineering has advanced more in these 5 years than in the previous 50. We're building space habitats that can support millions of people. We're terraforming planets faster than ever before. We're developing technologies that seemed impossible just a decade ago. The economic reports were equally impressive. Bobby Chen, now Director of Human Economic Development, explained the transformation. The resources we once spent maintaining alien infrastructure are now invested in human colonies and industries. Our standard of living has improved dramatically. Unemployment is virtually zero because we have so many new projects and opportunities. How many new human colonies have we established? Asked Delegate Sarah Kim. 47 new worlds in the past 5 years, Bobby replied proudly. All in regions that were previously unexplored because our ships were too busy helping aliens to do exploration. The human population was also growing rapidly, with resources no longer diverted to alien aid. Human families could afford to have more children. The birth rate had increased by 60% since the withdrawal. In summary, President Amanda concluded, humanity is experiencing a golden age. We're healthier, wealthier, safer, and happier than we've ever been. Our civilization is expanding and advancing at an unprecedented rate. Meanwhile, she continued, looking at the display showing the collapsed galaxy, the civilizations that voted to restrict our influence are learning the true cost of their independence. The session concluded with a unanimous vote to maintain the withdrawal policy. Not a single delegate voted to resume contact with alien civilizations. After the assembly, Amanda met privately with her senior advisors to discuss long-term strategy. Ma'am, Admiral Torres asked, what happens when the alien civilizations finally collapse completely? Won't that leave huge regions of space empty? Those regions will become available for human expansion, Amanda replied.